Why do so many older adults seem to decline rapidly after 80? Even those who were mentally sharp and physically active just a few years earlier often begin to struggle. Most people believe this is just about genes or luck, but that's not the full picture. In this video, we're going to explore 5 surprising reasons that are rarely discussed, yet have a major impact on health and longevity past 80. These aren't your usual topics like diet, smoking, or exercise. These are deeper, often hidden influences that slip under the radar, even in people who have done most things right. The best part, once you understand these factors, you can actually do something about them. So if you've ever wondered what really stands in the way of thriving past 80 and how to protect yourself while there's still time, stay with me until the end. These 5 insights might just shift how you think about aging and possibly even how long you live. Let's dive in. Number 1, the disappearance of microsocial moments. One of the first and most underrated reasons older adults decline after 80 is the quiet loss of what psychologists call microsocial engagement. These aren't deep conversations or long visits with family. They're the quick, everyday exchanges that once filled your routine without a second thought. Remember saying good morning to the mail carrier, sharing a laugh with a cashier, or waving to a neighbor across the street. These tiny interactions weren't just pleasant, they were regulating your nervous system, reinforcing your place in the world, and keeping your social brain active. But after 80, many stop going to the store in person. They start ordering online or asking family to help. They chat less with strangers because hearing becomes harder. They walk outside less because of pain, weather, or fear of falling. And as these daily micro-connections fade, so does something else: vitality. Most people don't notice it happening. They think they're just streamlining life, but what they're really doing is stripping away the very moments that kept their brains sharp, their mood lifted, and their sense of belonging intact. It doesn't take much. I've known men in their 80s who stayed mentally strong simply by walking to the same coffee shop, greeting the same barista, and nodding to the same 3 people on their block. That 5-minute ritual wasn't trivial. It gave structure to the day, it offered a rhythm, it reminded them they were seen, and when that fades, there's a cost. The brain registers both deep and subtle loneliness as stress. That raises inflammation, alters hormones, and lowers immunity. Most critically, it begins to shrink the brain's networks for memory, attention, and emotional control. In simpler terms, it accelerates aging. So if you've noticed you talk to fewer people these days, skip small errands, or feel less visible in your community, it's time to change that. Because even those small talk moments are quietly reminding your brain and body that you still matter. And that reminder is one of the strongest medicines we have, not just for staying alive, but for staying awake in life. Number 2, caution that goes too far. Another hidden reason many don't thrive past 80 is something that looks wise: being careful. But there's a line between healthy caution and excessive avoidance. And once that line is crossed, the consequences build slowly but steadily. It often starts with good intentions. Maybe you slipped once on the stairs or nearly fell stepping off a curb. So you cut back, you stop going for walks, you avoid bending down or stepping into awkward spots. You sit more, you stay seated longer. People around you praise this. Don't push yourself, they say. Better safe than sorry. But here's the truth no one brings up. When you stop moving, you don't just lose strength in your muscles. You lose coordination, balance, and core stability. Your body isn't like a machine that gets better by resting. It's more like a living garden that needs daily care. When movement slows down to almost nothing, things don't just pause, they begin to fade. And one of the first areas to suffer is the core. Most people don't realize how crucial those deep trunk muscles are. They support standing, walking, lifting, even getting out of a chair. When those muscles go unused, they weaken fast. In just a few weeks, they begin to shrink, and once that happens, balance goes with it. You start to feel unsteady and the decline snowballs. I knew a man named Walter, 82 years old, who used to walk a mile every evening. One rainy day he slipped. No injury, just a scare, but that single moment was enough to change everything. He stopped walking, started staying in, and began spending most nights in front of the TV. 6 months later, he'd lost 10 pounds of muscle. His legs felt weak and wobbly. His doctor warned him, but by then, the damage had already started. Walter didn't stop because he was frail. He became frail because he stopped. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore real risks. There are smart ways to stay safe. Handrails, sturdy shoes, clear walkways, even using a cane if needed. That's managing risk. But letting fear run your life is different. When fear takes over, the body forgets how to move. It forgets how to stay strong. So if you've started avoiding things, not because you can't, but because you're afraid of what might happen, stop and check in with yourself. Ask, am I protecting myself, or am I slowly vanishing from my own life? Because staying alive after 80 isn't just about preventing falls. It's about movement. Thoughtful, careful, consistent movement. That's how the body knows it's still needed. That's how your systems stay in tune, your brain stays alert, and your heart keeps beating with purpose. If you're still here and this message is hitting home, drop a number 2 in the comments so I know you're with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button. Turn on the bell so you never miss these videos. Your support helps us keep creating content to inform and inspire. Now let's move forward. Number 3, disrupted sleep from irregular light exposure. Inside your body is a silent clock, not the ticking kind, but one that controls everything from mood and energy to immune strength and brain repair. After age 80, this internal timekeeper, your circadian rhythm, becomes especially fragile. And one of the biggest reasons it gets thrown off, not enough daylight and too much artificial light at night. At first, you might not even notice. Maybe you're napping more during the day, especially in the sun. Maybe you've stopped going outside regularly, especially during winter. You leave the TV on late or read with bright lights overhead. These little habits may seem harmless, but together they confuse your body's sense of time, blurring the lines between day and night. Your body relies on natural light to stay in sync. Bright light in the morning tells your brain to wake up, to energize, to activate systems. And darkness in the evening signals the release of melatonin, the hormone that helps you relax into deep, restorative sleep. But when you're not exposed to enough daylight, or when your nights are filled with screen time and bright bulbs, that rhythm gets thrown off. The result, sleep gets lighter, shorter, or broken. You wake up groggy even after 8 hours. Your energy lags, your mind feels cloudy, and it doesn't stop at fatigue. Long-term sleep disruption weakens your immune defenses, dulls your mood, and raises your risk of memory issues or cognitive decline. There's also another layer, vitamin D. After 80, your skin doesn't produce it as efficiently, which means being outdoors becomes even more important. Without enough, bones, muscles, and immunity can all take a hit. I remember a woman named Helen, 84. She'd been feeling foggy, tired, and out of sorts. Her diet was fine, no new medications, blood work looked normal. The breakthrough, her doctor told her to sit by a sunny window for 20 minutes every morning with the blinds wide open, and to power down screens an hour before bed. 2 weeks later, her sleep got deeper. Her memory started coming back, so did her spark. Her mood lifted. It wasn't from a new medication, it was light, pure, natural light. So if you've been spending your days indoors with the blinds drawn, or if your nights glow with the blue haze of a phone or television, it's time for a reset. Try stepping outside within the first hour of waking. Even just a few minutes on your porch or by an open window can make a difference. Let your eyes absorb the morning sun. Let your skin feel it too. And in the evening, dim the lights, lower the glow. Let your body know it's time to wind down. These rhythms aren't just soothing, they're essential. Because what many people miss is that aging isn't only the result of wear and tear. The body also ages from disarray, from its internal systems falling out of sync. When you restore your light cues, your sleep patterns, your daily flow, you bring order back. You send your body the message, even at 85, we're still on track, still moving, still here. Number 4, emotional suppression from loss and isolation. By the time you reach your 80s, you've likely endured more loss than most younger people can fathom. A partner, a sibling, a dear friend, sometimes even a child. And while others may offer kind words or brief condolences, what often gets overlooked is how that grief piles up. Not just in memory, but in your body. What happens for many isn't just mourning. It's quiet suppression, the gradual habit of holding it all in, of smiling when you'd rather cry, of telling yourself you should be used to it by now. Or worse, believing there's no one left who would truly understand what you've lost. But here's the truth. Your body remembers what your voice never said. When sorrow isn't shared, when pain isn't spoken, it doesn't go away, it sinks in. Over time, it starts to change you. It impacts your sleep, your digestion, your hormones. It keeps your nervous system stuck in a quiet, tight loop of tension. And the most painful part, you might not even notice it happening. You look calm, you say you're fine, but your posture sinks, your breathing shortens, your energy dims. That spark, the one that once made you feel alive, starts to fade. I think of George, 86, who lost his wife of 6 decades. He didn't talk about it much, said crying wasn't his way, told everyone he was managing just fine. But a year later, the signs were there. He stopped showing up to the senior center. He lost weight. He couldn't sleep through the night. Not from illness, but from carrying grief he'd never released. Emotional pain doesn't have to be loud to be harmful. And by the time it shows up in your health, the link to your heartache isn't always clear. But here's what we've seen again and again. People who live well into their 80s and beyond don't just stay physically active. They stay emotionally open, they vent, they cry, they speak honestly. They say things like, "I miss her," or "this still hurts," without shame. That emotional expression, that exhale is what allows the heart to breathe. And when the heart can breathe, the whole body can begin to heal. It doesn't matter what the outlet is. It could be a trusted friend, a worn notebook, a faith group, a support circle, a therapist. What matters is that something gets said, because what's expressed can be released, and what's buried will fester. So if you've been holding something in, not because you want to, but because you've had no safe place to let it out, start making that space now, not just for your emotional health, but for your life. Because the heart, no matter how strong, can only carry so much weight before it begins to shut down. And if you're still here and this part of the message speaks to you, drop a number 4 in the comments below. I'd love to know you're still with me, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. It helps us keep this content coming and reach those who need it most. Now, let's keep going. Number 5, the slow loss of daily purpose. One of the quietest reasons people begin to fade after 80 has nothing to do with illness. It's the slow vanishing of something that once felt so ordinary, we didn't even realize it was holding us up. Daily purpose. Not in the grand philosophical sense, but the everyday kind. The kind that gives your day shape. The kind that gets you out of bed because there's something to do, someone to see, somewhere to be. Feeding the neighborhood cat who waits patiently by your door. Writing a letter to your granddaughter. Fixing the loose hinge on the back gate. These may seem small, but they are anchors. When these quiet routines begin to slip away, when mornings arrive with no reason to move and evenings come without anything worth reflecting on, something inside starts to dim. The body listens to the mind. And when the mind no longer sees a reason to keep going, the body stops trying, appetite fades, movement slows, sleep changes, not because you're broken, but because your body is waiting for a signal, a reason to switch back on. This decline can be subtle. Maybe your weekly bridge game was canceled. The church group stopped meeting. Your knees made it harder to volunteer. Family visits became less frequent. You tell yourself it's just part of aging, but deep down you feel the drift. Days begin to blend together. The spark gets fainter. But then there's Ruth. I met her when she was 88. She didn't have perfect health. She wasn't wealthy. She didn't have a big family around her, but she had something that many people lose: purposeful rhythm. Every Monday, she wrote postcards to shut-ins from her church. Every Thursday, she made soup for a nearby shelter and froze it for delivery. And every afternoon at 4 p.m., she sat by her window to watch the neighborhood kids walk home from school. She knew their names, they waved, she waved back. It wasn't grand, but it gave her life structure, texture, connection, and most importantly, it gave her days meaning. That's the secret no one tells you. The body stays alive as long as it believes it's needed. Purpose, even in its smallest form, is fuel. It tells your cells to keep repairing. It tells your heart to keep beating. It tells your spirit we're still here. When you feel like you're no longer needed, when you believe your presence doesn't matter, the flame starts to go out. Slowly, quietly. That's why those who live past 80, not just longer, but better, always seem to have something anchoring their day. A garden, a pet, a journal, a ritual, a daily prayer, a phone call. It doesn't matter what it is. It matters that it exists. That it shows up in your life with regularity. That it gives your day a pulse. So if your days have started to feel shapeless, if they've lost their color, don't ignore that feeling. It's not just sadness. It's a signal. Your body is asking for rhythm again, for connection, for something that matters. Because in the end, living long isn't just about your heart beating. It's about your heart wanting to beat. That quiet, persistent desire to stay alive, to stay engaged, to still belong. That's what carries people past 80 and into lives that feel full. As we wrap up this video, let me leave you with a simple but powerful truth. Most people don't fade after 80 because of one big moment. It's not a diagnosis. It's not a fall. It's not a birthday that changes everything. It's the slow fading of small habits, of quiet rhythms, of reasons to stay engaged with life. These shifts happen gradually, so gradually that you don't notice until something inside feels dimmer than it once did. But here's the good news. Just as these changes come slowly, they can be reversed slowly, gently, one small decision at a time, a walk outside, a stretch in the morning, a conversation with someone at the store, a task you do not because you must, but because it adds shape to your day. That's how you begin the turn. So think back to the 5 unexpected reasons we explored today. Which one surprised you the most? Which one felt uncomfortably familiar? And most importantly, which one are you willing to act on, even just a little, starting today? Because you do have power, not to stop aging, but to change how you age, to change how alive you feel while doing it. And if you stay alert to the quiet shifts, if you protect your rhythms, if you give yourself permission to feel again, then there's a good chance you won't just reach 80. You'll live beyond it, fully, deeply, on your own terms. Thank you for being with us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned and how you plan to use it in your life. Your voice matters. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content that informs and inspires.